What's up, everybody? It's Draymond Green. Make sure you subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel below so you don't miss any more of this great content going forward. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Draymond Green Show. A lot going on in the NBA. A lot of things to talk about. A couple things that nobody would have expected to happen. Number one was the Heat beating the Bucks. Closed that series out 4-1. Man. Best record in the NBA. Heat closed out in 4-1. Jimmy Butler, game 4, 56 points. Game 5, 42 points on the road and a W. Now our coach scratched that. But this what we doing? And then deliver? A lot of credit to Jimmy Butler. Most guys would not ask for the ball in that situation. Jimmy, a different dude. The NBA playoffs are upon us. 20 teams will get in, all with one goal. It's going to be awesome to watch on television, but I think I can say firsthand and tell all of you there's no comparison to being at these games live. For last-minute amazing deals on tickets, not just to the Dubs, but your favorite NBA team, check out Game Time, the fastest-growing ticketing app in the U.S. And it doesn't stop with the NBA. Game Time has tickets to MLB, NHL, even concerts and comedy shows too. Download the Game Time app and redeem code GREEN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the Game Time app and enter code GREEN, that's GREEN, for $20 off. No matter where you live, get out and have some fun this week. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And as we were able to see Jimmy's football skills come into play. Jimmy went straight wide receiver, got away with a little push off there, but the finish was absolutely insane. And I can appreciate, as a defensive guy, I can appreciate them not calling that push off. Like, it's last second play, both guys going for the ball, 3 guys going for the ball. And like, yeah, he get away with a little nudge, but it's the playoffs. And like, you got to be a little stronger, a little tougher. So I agree with the referees not calling the push off, although if you know anything about referees and refereeing angles, Pat is on the baseline on the opposite side of Pat Connaughton. And when I say Pat, I'm saying I'm going to butcher Pat's last name, so don't hold this against me. But Pat Frayer is the official. He's standing on the baseline behind Pat Connaughton. Then there's an official back this way, like up the sideline. Hard for him to have an angle on that too. So it's actually the perfect position for a referee not to have an angle. But that's also me understanding a little bit more about officiating angles and what you can get away with because there's no referee at certain angles. Absolutely amazing. I saw a lot of people saying, why is Brook Lopez not in the game? That play would have never happened if Brook Lopez was in the game. Well, let's discuss something. If Brook Lopez was in the game and the one thing Milwaukee can't do there, and I want everyone to understand this, there's one thing, and I spoke about it with myself in Game 4. There's one thing you can't do there. You just can't give up a 3. If you give up a layup, guess what? If you give up a 2, guess what? You go into overtime. So your worst case scenario, if you are Milwaukee, has to be what happened, which is we go into overtime. But under no circumstances do you give up a 3. So hindsight is 20/20. We can all look back at the play and say, oh man, Brook Lopez should have been in the game to protect the rim. But if Brook Lopez is in the game to protect the rim and somebody pop for 3, then y'all gonna say, oh man, you should have took the 3 away and Brook Lopez shouldn't have been in the game because we know he's not guarding the 3-point line. So I actually agree with Mike Budenholzer there to not have Brook Lopez in the game. Although, yes, all the basketball geniuses and experts are going to say, why was Brook Lopez not in the game? That just shows why you're not a basketball genius and why you're not a basketball expert. Because no chance Brook Lopez should have been in that game. Just no chance. If you run something and you run everyone to the three-point line, and Brook Lopez is standing in the paint protecting the rim, and you lose that game in regulation, then you really go at Mike Budenholzer for who's in the game. But not that Brook wasn't in the game. So that's that. Giannis. Number one, I was very disappointed in Giannis for throwing that ball like that. Like, 10 for 23 from the line, I get it. Whether they foul you or not, it is what it is. Last night I was 4 for 8 from the line. And if I catch a ball in the situation, you have to, like, you cannot just get rid of the ball. Like, hold on to the ball. The ball in that situation is the most important thing. And so I was a little disappointed in that, especially for someone who went 18 for 19, if I'm not mistaken, to close out an NBA Finals. Like, it's there, man. Like, yeah, you go through struggles and you go through slumps, but did it at the biggest stage. The biggest stage you've done it. So, like, you can always look back to that and, like, find some confidence in that. So that was a little disappointing. Also, for the Milwaukee Bucks not to get a shot off. I'm sorry, but the ball can't end up in Grayson Allen's hand. Like, you got Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo on the floor. Under no circumstances should the ball end up in Grayson Allen's hand. Now, if I'm kicking the Grayson Allen in the corner, that's the last, and you do that. But, like, he didn't get a shot off. They were down 2. To not get a shot off down 2 is absolute. You turn the ball over, that's one thing. Like, you turn the ball over, we all have turnovers. You turn the ball over and not get a shot off, that's one thing. Lose the ball, fumble it. But to, like, be making the move and not get a shot off is crazy. It's crazy, and that's why the ball shouldn't have been in Grayson Allen's hands in that situation. It just shouldn't have been. I disagree with it. But that happens, and that's what you end up with. We will see what happens with the Milwaukee Bucks. A lot of things coming up. Giannis is due for an extension this summer. Chris Middleton has an opt-out this summer. Obviously, we know, there's changing of guard with the ownership group. And there's also been a little noise about Mike Budenholzer not being brought back, not being retained. It's a guy who won a championship 2 years ago, had the best record in the league, unfortunately got upset. They're saying he may not be back. So it's a lot to watch there. Will Giannis sign the extension? Will Giannis not sign the extension? If not, what does that mean for the future of your franchise? You usually don't see players like Giannis get traded. You just ride it out to the end and see if you can bring your guy back. Players of that caliber, that has possibly changed with the trading of Kevin Durant this year. Maybe you will see more superstars get traded now. I don't know. But it's just not a normal thing. Like, you have to try to ride that thing most times till the wheels fall off and in hopes that you get him back. Stuff get interesting in Milwaukee. Or they could just run it back next year, knowing that they had the best record in the league. Jimmy Butler went ape shit. Jimmy Butler's going to show up for the playoffs again because he shows up every year for the playoffs. And they've kind of had a back and forth thing over the last few years. So it's been going that way. Jimmy got it done. Gabe Vincent, huge shot down the stretch for Gabe Vincent. And actually almost hit another one. It went in and out. Shout out to Gabe Vincent for stepping up in that situation, man. I saw Jared Allen say the lights was too bright. Like, the lights were brighter than expected. Quite frankly, that's the case for a lot of guys in the NBA. Maybe like 85% of guys, the lights get bright, too bright. But you can't come out and say that. Like, you can't come out and say the lights was too bright for me. And you lost. Like I told y'all when the stuff happened in Boston with me, like, and they was like, fuck Draymond and like all of this stuff and like a little racial, but I don't ever like to take it there like it is what it is. But I told you I got a little rattled. But the lights being too bright, that's next level. That's next level. So now if you're the Cavs, what do? Have a great season, get home court advantage, lose in the first round. Scoring was a big issue. Stops was a big issue. What do you do if you're the Cavs now? Glaringly noticeable that you need a 3-and-D guy. But what do? Gets interesting. All season gets interesting. But that's two series that closed out. So we will now see the New York Knicks versus the Miami Heat the next round. I'm taking the Heat. I'm taking Jimmy Butler. With the injury to Julius Randle, not certain if he'll be ready for game one. The Heat has something that the Cleveland Cavaliers doesn't have. And that is you can put Jimmy Butler on Jalen Brunson. You try to make it a little tougher with size on Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson has been incredible. But he's not going to bully Jimmy Butler in the mid-range, get to his spot and just bump Jimmy off. Jimmy, you're just not going to do that to Jimmy. So it'll be interesting to see how the Heat decide to match up. But I'd expect at some point in this series, and probably earlier rather than later at the rate that this guy, Jalen Brunson, is playing, to see Jimmy Butler take on that matchup. And you know Jimmy never ducking any matchup, but I expect that to be a Spo game plan thing because Jalen is getting to his spot. And we spoke last week about Darius Garland like being much stronger than I thought, but that's what Jalen Brunson is looking for. So be interesting series. I'm going to take the Heat in that one. Play-in team. That play-in tournament is looking more and more promising for the NBA. What's up, everybody? It's Draymond Green. Make sure you subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel below so you don't miss any more of this great content going forward.